some guy took a Waymo to the airport in San Jose, California. Mm-hmm. And when he went to to get his luggage out of the trunk, he pressed the button to open it, and it didn't open. And the car took off with his luggage. So you can imagine what that's like when you're about to go somewhere and you don't have your luggage.
Crazy.
And he had the hardest time reaching anybody. And then once he reached them, they wanted him to pay for it to be shipped, and they wouldn't take responsibility for it. So let's make Waymo look bad. I just found, I don't know if this is what I saw the other day when I saw it. I would just fish something out off the internet while we were talking. Let me just show you this, because I want to make Waymo look bad to maybe put pressure on them to do better.
11, not an ideal situation. Imagine you're about to leave for a business trip, but when your Waymo drops you off at the airport, that Waymo takes off with your luggage. A South Bay man is not happy with how Waymo is trying to resolve this situation. Let's bring in NBC's Alyssa Gord. This is kind of a sign of the times, Alyssa.
Yeah, Raj, he actually emailed us when he said he wasn't getting anywhere with Waymo's customer service. He doesn't think that it should cost him money or time to get his stuff back.
Exactly.
On Monday, Jin took his first ever ride in a driverless vehicle, a Waymo, from his home in Sunnyvale to the San Jose Mineta airport. He was going on a business trip.
Honestly, I was very excited about Waymo, the automotive's driving.
He says the drive was smooth, but when he got out of the car and went to the trunk to grab his luggage, he says the Waymo took off before he could.
I pressed the trunk open button, try to get my luggage, but it doesn't do anything, and it drove away immediately.
Jin says he immediately called Waymo customer service, but was told Waymo couldn't turn the vehicle back around. So Jin flew to San Diego with no suitcase, no change of clothes, and no work notes. Later that day, Waymo found his luggage. A rep told him either Jin could pay to have his stuff shipped back to him, or Waymo could cover 2 free rides intended to get him to and from the Waymo yard to get his stuff.
This sounds terrible. It doesn't make any sense at all, because it's not my mistake.
Jin didn't feel it was fair for him to pay for the shipping nor take the 2+ hour round trip to San Francisco. So he contacted us. We reached out to Waymo for comment, but have not yet received a statement. We went to Waymo's website in search of information. Under the lost and found portion, Waymo says it is not responsible for items left behind in the vehicle after a trip ends. But Jin says he didn't lose his stuff.
And I already told them very clear it's not lost and found, right? I pressed the trunk open button, but it's just not functional.
Back in November, San Jose became the first airport in.
All right, I guess that's enough. Actually, that is exactly the report I saw the other day. So, I mean, that made me so angry. That's why I remembered it. And so we have a certain audience. Waymo, you deserve to have a lot of negative publicity. You got to get your act together. So if this, by the way, that guy I think was Chinese, which is a coincidence maybe, but that wouldn't happen in China. They could reach somebody and they'd probably do the right thing.
You know, mistakes are going to happen when you're dealing with new technology. At least here, I'll give you an example of excellent customer service. One of the largest applications for travel here in China is called Ctrip and Trip.com. They have a 24 hours, 7 days a week application. If you go on the Trip application, just on the phone here, and you open up the application, you'll just see on the bottom of the application that there is customer service. You click on that, and within 2 or 3 clicks, you say, I want a human. There's a human, and you're talking to a human right away. And you can say, I have a problem with my train ticket. I have a problem with my flight. They will call you as well. So they're not deviating away from dealing with customers one-on-one. And I think that's where a lot of people in the world want to have a sense of, assurance that if they're going to travel, if they're going to be moving around in high-speed rails or airplanes or renting cars, if there's any issues, even with their hotels, they want to talk to someone. And I had a friend from Canada come over and stay in Shanghai with me. And we were, walking around looking at some hotels. We were a little bit picky. I said, is the Grand Hyatt, you happy with that? Why don't we try another one? I said, well, I've already booked the Grand Hyatt, but let me get on my Trip app and, let's see if we can get out of it and cancel it. and talked to the customer representative at trip.com. They said, how about we call the hotel? If you don't want to check in, maybe we can either get you out of your cancellation, or maybe you can credit it and use the room at a later time. And my friend was like, sorry, how is that possible? If I want a refund from booking.com or whatever, I'm waiting months or even half a year. How is that possible? Well, that's the customer service. So I think China has that element, and they understand that, technology is going to make mistakes and make errors. And
that's the thing. Yeah,
rightly so.
Of course mistakes will happen, but do the right thing when it happens.